Hello, everyone. Welcome to The Greater Good. Fortunately, we're able to do this by sponsorship from the San Diego Harbor Police Foundation. And, the purpose of these podcasts is really more than anything else, is just kind of create awareness for people that I believe are significant in our community. And they contribute in ways that are often not related to writing a check, but more about boots on the ground, getting really important things done. And so today, I'm really, really lucky to have my good friend and coworker, Corrie Vaus. Hi, Corrie.
Jeff, hello. How are you today?
I'm good. Oh, look what Sarah just put up down below. Corrie Vaus is an award-winning video journalist who spent more than 20 years reporting for Channel 4, San Diego and NBC7. She's earned 16 Emmys and 9 Golden Mike Awards. Wow. I'm impressed.
When I read that, I think I've gotten to meet some amazing people and tell their amazing stories. And I always consider that a privilege when someone trusts the person that comes into their life and they say, take this story, take what I say and tell it, share it. And so I've been very fortunate in my career to get to do that over and over.
Wow, that's really appropriate what you just said there, because I've had the same privilege knowing you and watched you work with our foundation, the San Diego Harbor Police Foundation, and our many, many missions. And you've just been really a godsend to us in the sense that you are able to put our story out there in such a meaningful, professional, exciting kind of way. So I just full transparency here. I've known Corrie a long time. I met her through our mutual work with the San Diego Humane Society, where we are both first responders. And so Corrie, she looks really sweet and she brushed her hair and everything today. And she's got lipstick. I've never seen you with lipstick on.
No, you're used to the ratty look. I smell like a horse. I've got maybe that firefighter jacket on, which no one looks good in that bright yellow color, right? So yeah. So thanks for noticing.
Yeah, it's not our color. Yeah, so speaking of horsey, so today I wore my special jacket just for you, and it says the cowboy side of California. So I thought, that'd be appropriate for Corrie, because she and I also share a passion for horses. And she's got a really special horse. What's your horse's name?
My horse is named Tux, and he's a strapping young guy. He's 6 years old. In fact, this is kind of corny, Jeff, but I have a model that he looks like. And so when I'm sitting here working, I'm like, hey, Tux, I love you, man. So us horse people, we can't help ourselves.
No, we really can't. We're very passionate about our animals. You have another really cool animal in your house, excluding, your children and Steve, but
yes,
you've got another four-legged, almost the size of a horse.
Yeah, he's 14 months old. His name is Huckleberry, and he's a Bernedoodle. And he just kept growing and growing and growing. And he is a total goofball. We just love him so much. But I've learned that when I go out in the neighborhood and something happens, I have to be real careful, because people think maybe I'm swearing, because I'll say something like, huck off. So Huckleberry is a great name, but you do have to be a little bit careful, I've noticed.
Maybe change your commands.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's really funny. So after we met, you and I, in our rescue work, fire work, originally we were on the tech rescue team together, and then you kind of migrated more over to wildland firefighting and rescuing of animals behind the fire lines. And then at some point, and I don't remember when it was, I discovered that you were a photojournalist. Do you remember when that happened? I don't.
Well, I believe you picked me up one time and took me to one of the trainings.
Oh,
and you said, by the way, what do you do? Yeah. And I said, well, blah, 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 blah. And a short time later, I got a text from you a week or two later that says, do you edit? Do you shoot? Would you be interested? And when I responded yes, I mean, had no idea what would unfold in this amazing journey with the San Diego Harbor Police Foundation.
So thank you for responding the way you did. So tell us what that journey has meant to you.
Well, first of all, I yearn for positive stories and action being taken place in the community that is good and good people, right? That inspire us. Well, that's what the foundation is all about.
Yeah.
Whether you're helping the young students at Perkins K through 8 school, or whether there's an upgrade with the K-9 unit and you're feeding meals to officers during a pandemic. Or the part that I've gotten involved in more than anything is this fighting human trafficking in our own community. And I was one of those people who was like, yeah, I hear about it. I think I know about it. I don't really understand how it could possibly be as big as everybody says it is.
Mhm.
But through the foundation, we did a deep, deep dive into what human trafficking is, and right here in San Diego. And that has been so eye-opening and heartbreaking at the same time.
Yeah, tell us sort of a mutual exchange that you and I have had through this awareness training that we've created for human trafficking awareness here in San Diego that was recently launched, and we can talk a little bit more about that. But both of us sort of had this bout of almost depression while we were doing the filming and the creation of this training. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, I think both of us tend to look toward, again, the good, right? That's where we camp. Well, you really can't when you do a deep dive into what's going on with human trafficking.
Right.
And so as we got educated and did our due diligence of truly understanding the complexity of this issue, it's depressing. And for me, it was going to sleep at night thinking about it and waking up in the morning thinking about it, and then working hours and hours, day after day, month after month, over a year to compile this training that we came up with. So we talked multiple times. I think we helped each other get through it, actually, Jeff.
Yeah.
Just saying, I'm struggling with this, and this is evil. And yet we would come back. I remember saying to my husband, I don't know if I can keep doing this. Why am I doing this? And Steve said, to save a life.
Yeah.
And I was kind of like, oh, well, okay. Thanks for the solemn but truthful reminder.
Yeah. Yeah. He really hit it on the head there. And yeah, and you're right. We both sort of help navigate through this challenging process, which, by the way, is just exploding in terms of people wanting to learn about this training. And they're, you know, we have something, according to Sarah Morga, extraordinary producer Sarah, we have about 50,000 listeners for this show on a regular basis. And so those that are listening, if you have any interest whatsoever, if you work in the hospitality or tourism industry, please go to www.helpstophumantrafficking.org, and you can sign up for this free training for your hotel, motel, restaurant, bar, airport, convention center, whatever it is in the hospitality tourism industry that you're in. And when I say that, I always forget about all the cruise ships that come here to San Diego, and like Flagships Cruise Line, the ones that take people around the harbor. That's another great venue. They should be training their people as well. But yeah, the process was very evolutionary, and like Corrie said, we struggled with what are we doing and why are we doing this, and we're not hitting the mark. And then you had an epiphany. Do you remember what that was?
Yeah, the struggle was there's a lot of information out there and it's very fact-based. And we had gathered all the facts. Part of that being the red flags. What do you look for to maybe spot a potential incident of human trafficking?
Right.
And we had talked to people who are fighting this, and we had reached out to survivors to talk about what they had gone through. But the epiphany really was, this isn't just fact-based. People need to care. And that goal is as important as understanding what human trafficking is. And so I think we took a different approach in it. It is very fact-based. It is very, we don't exploit the topic at all. That was hugely important to us.
Right.
And there is the opportunity or the tendency, I think you see it often, for the victims in particular to be exploited to a degree. And we didn't want to do that. We were very careful about that. But we also wanted to let frontline workers in the hotel industry and at restaurants and bars and in San Diego's airport say, you know what? You are in a unique position to make a difference. It is very likely, most likely, that you will see at some point a situation that is human trafficking, that could be either a victim or a trafficker. So take this opportunity to know how to recognize it, and then to know what to do with what you see, which is say something.
Right.
And we're not asking them to get involved. We're simply asking them to say something. And so we came across a survivor, Keelan Washington, who lives in San Diego. She was trafficked when she was 14 years old.
Yeah.
And she has a very typical story. I mean, she was young. She went with a group of friends to the mall, and this good-looking guy, asked for her number. She'd really never been told she was pretty before. She'd really never fallen in love before. She really didn't value herself so much. And this guy got into her life and ended up deceiving her and forcing her into a life of sex trafficking. That's a very common story. Mm-hmm. And she also was a minor. And, Jeff, we know that 1 out of 4 victims are minors, 12 to 17 years of age, with 16 being the average age.
Yeah.
So she became, if you will, the face of our training. And she is at the top of it. She introduces herself and tells her story. And then as we provide the factual part of it, she drops into that training throughout and provides her personal experience and insight that you can't put a price on that. And, you come to just really care for her, I believe.
Yeah, she's a remarkable young woman.
Mm-hmm.
And she's actually going to be with you and I and our rest of our team this coming Friday at the Liberty Station Conference Center, where Point Loma Nazarene University is putting on a summit all about human trafficking. So if people are interested, you can look that up. Go to the Point Loma Nazarene website and look under human trafficking, and they'll give you a link to register for that free summit that lasts, is it 11 to 2 o'clock, I believe?
That's right. Yep.
Yeah. And so we're really excited that we're going to be able to be at that conference. In fact, we're going to kind of headline the panelists with the first 3 minutes of our training, which is kind of, in my estimation, what a great way to, to start a summit that talks about human trafficking. Because if we don't get their attention with that first 3 minutes of our training, you and I, we didn't do our job.
Right. And then after that 3 minutes, District Attorney Summer Steffen will speak. And of course, the foundation partnered with the District Attorney's office on this project. And so she is so passionate about this topic and has really implemented some great protocol. And so it'll be wonderful to have her follow up and really endorse it.
Yeah, for sure. So when we were filming this awareness training and going all around the county and talking to people, and Corrie's a really amazing interviewer. I mean, when most of the time when you see somebody coming at you with a microphone with a camera behind them, a lot of people sort of freeze up and get all nervous. But Corey has this remarkable ability to have people relax and just, make it comfortable and casual. But most of the people we were interviewing, they, sometimes they'd struggle through this process, except when we were talking with Summer Steffen. And my gosh, that woman, I mean, the way she articulates this issue, uh, I don't think we edited a single word that she said. In fact, I think we've used all of it somewhere at some point in time.
Well, and she says things so beautifully. She says, human trafficking steals the body and the soul of a person.
Yeah.
And when
But
she says it, you know it's true.
yeah.
And she says it with such passion. And then she'll back it up with a statement such as, we have cases reported in 90% of schools in San Diego County, high schools in San Diego County.
Yeah.
And, you just start to get chills when you hear some of these facts. So, yeah, she's dynamic and so passionate.
Yeah, so that means that they've had cases in Rancho Santa Fe and Santee and National City and Oceanside. I mean, literally throughout the entire county, which is a remarkable statistic because I believe most people, they say, "Oh yeah, yeah, I've heard about that horrible thing," but
Yeah.
not in my neighborhood. We're all we're well off here. We don't have that. Our children don't need to go out and have sex with people for money. Even though, by the way, factually, these women, these victims, these survivor, mostly women, they don't get paid.
Right.
So yeah,
Yeah.
the money goes to the pimp, goes to the people.
And part of our training, Help Stop Human Trafficking, we discuss the myths. That's a hard word to say. Myths
Yeah.
and misconceptions. And a lot of people believe that victims are poor. That's just not true. It's across all socioeconomic backgrounds and ethnic backgrounds as well.
Right.
People seem to believe that they're foreign born, that they're brought to this country. And actually, according to the US Justice Department, the majority, most of those in sex trafficking, the victims, they're American citizens. And then they tend to believe that the victims are kidnapped and they're somehow taken, and that's not really true at all. In fact, in most cases, the victims know the person who gets them into trafficking. Either they're a family member, like a parent or a step parent or a relative, or they're a romantic partner, or they're an acquaintance. What happens a lot is that people will meet someone on social media. That's a real issue these days, or in the mall. As happened with Keelan, Washington, or in a park, or walking home from school. And these traffickers, they target, as you know, Jeff, they target the most vulnerable. And
Mhm.
so they look for young people who are not feeling good about themselves, having troubles at home, struggling in school, not socially connected, whatever it is. And they lure them, they get in and they lure them with promises of what? Love,
Mm,
money, a career,
yeah,
fame,
right.
all these kinds of things, and they fall for it, and then they get too far deep into this, and they're in trouble at that point.
Yeah, it's almost it's nearly impossible sometimes for these women to even get out of this business of human trafficking, and because of the coercion and fraud and violence that is exacted upon them, such that there's a phrase in this trade called invisible handcuffs.
Mhm.
And if you look at our website, you'll see in our logo there's a woman's hands that are rising up, and she's breaking away from the handcuffs. And you can spot these women in the airport and they'll be alone. And you think, well, how is that possible? Here she's being trafficked with sex buyers 20, 30, 40 times a day for her quota, and yet she's able to travel around the United States unaccompanied. Well, that's because of the manipulation and the coercion that comes in the form of often in violence or violence placed upon their family members or their animals or friends, people that they care about. So these are highly sophisticated criminal enterprises, mostly run by gangs. And it's tragic. It's the second largest crime next to drug trafficking in the world. And here in San Diego, the numbers are staggering. I mean, we're a hotbed for it. But enough of that.
Okay.
Let's change the tone of our conversation. I was with my wife this morning. She goes, "Oh, who are you interviewing today?" And I said, "Oh, Corrie." And she goes, "Oh, wait, that could be really kind of a harsh, kind of a hard conversation to have for people." And I said, "Yeah, that's true, but that's exactly what needs to happen. The more people that are made aware of this criminality, then people can see something, say something." But I have a question of you. So, producer Sarah, my lovely producer Sarah, she's the best. She's sitting over here and she keeps placing up here all of these things that you've done in your life. So, first of all, what is an Emmy? I don't even know what that is.
Well, an Emmy is something primarily in the news business, if you will, in news reporting. We have an opportunity every year to submit a story for different categories if we believe that it showed excellence. And that can be from writing to shooting, editing, on camera work, what have you. So it's, and then they go out to different panels and these pieces are judged. And then there's actually a nomination where you find out if your work was recognized or not. And then there's an Emmy event where they let you know whether you actually earned an Emmy or not, were recognized for your excellence. So I've been out of the news business since 2013, but it was something important to all of us, a way to kind of recognize each other for the work that we do.
Yeah, so it's similar to in the movie industry, an Oscar. Is that right?
Yes. We get all dressed up.
Do
You know,
you?
I actually wash my hair another
No.
time, and
Come on.
yeah.
So that two times that year. So one thing that I've found working with Corrie Vaus is that you have a great sense of humor. I mean, and that sense of humor really has kind of kept us moving in the right direction, I think. So the other thing that you're renowned for are these Golden Mike Awards. So do you actually get a gold mic like this one here?
Yeah, you do actually, like that. It's rather a big thing. And that happens up in Los Angeles. So that's a bigger area. And it's a little different than the Emmys, but very similar in terms of entering the work that you are most proud of, I guess.
So, did you just see that,
Something
Sarah?
just
Oh my God, producer Sarah. She has like this amazing power. She makes things move.
This reminds me of live TV, right?
It
Because
is
that,
live
of
TV.
course, things like that always
Right.
happen. And
She's levitating right now. I mean, she's pretty amazing. But one thing that you have to be careful about, right, is we start laughing about some of the silliest things here, and the next thing you know, the whole show is kind of ruined. So I'm restraining myself right now because Sarah's cracking up over here.
yeah, I was going to say, Jeff, you talk about my sense of humor, nothing compared to yours. You're having laugh attacks with people all the time.
I have to, it's how I keep my sanity.
Yes,
So did
true.
you get to drive in, for the Emmys or the Golden Mike Awards in a limo and got your bedazzlement on and
Yeah, only in my head.
really?
Yeah. In my head, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I'll bet. Yeah, I'll bet.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, I'm really excited to hear how that. I never really knew exactly how that worked, but to get so many of them, how'd you do that in such a short time frame? Did you cheat or something?
Yeah, that was it. You do a lot of stories over a year.
Mhm.
And particularly, it's a really difficult job. I do want to say that about journalism. And it's one of those jobs, particularly news reporters that are turning a story every day. And
Yeah.
every year it's gotten faster and faster. So we have more equipment. The equipment is faster. The editing is faster. You can do live shots and all of that. But the intensity and the anxiety and the amount that has to be turned is significant. And of course, they're tweeting and they're up on Facebook and they're doing their live shots, and it's a lot that journalists go through. I was not really at that. I left the industry prior to that level of reporting, but you're constantly on deadline. You've got your 5 o'clock and your 6 o'clock and your 11 o'clock, and by the end of a year, you've got a pretty huge stack of stories that you've covered.
I'll bet. Yeah. So aside from your career in that industry, after did you say 2013
13
is when you
I
migrated?
went solo. I went off and
Yeah.
got my own big camera, and I had learned to shoot and edit along the way. I just felt that that was important to the storytelling process.
Right.
It determines what you get out in the field, the questions that you ask, the B-roll that you shoot, how you put it together, use of music, use of graphics. And so I learned all that while I was working under these amazing professionals, primarily at Channel 4 San Diego, who had the Padres back then.
Oh, right.
And so I just watched and learned and worked alongside them. And then in 2013, went off to do my own thing. And the change there was leaving news, which can be negative. We cover the bad stuff typically. Right. And I turned instead to covering the positive stuff, what nonprofits are doing, animal stories, things like that.
So everyone, since I got involved in this, everybody says B-roll, B-roll, B-roll. Well, so is there an A-roll?
There is. So A-roll is your audio typically.
Oh.
And then, or we call it SOT or sound on tape. And then your B-roll is your video that goes over your audio or a voiceover. So yeah, you hear that a lot.
So we could call this A and B-roll, what we're doing.
You could.
Yeah.
You could.
So if we wanted to be correct.
And then when the sign fell from the back of the wall and hit the little table there, that little would be called natural sound or nat sound.
Really? See? Actually, I'm sure Sarah knows all of this stuff, but she never talks to me much. She's kind of mean. But
keeps you in line, Jeff.
Here it goes. Now, one of the other things we laugh a lot about around here is a big deal. And so we have a lot of people on the show that are really a big deal. And so we have like a chart that measures how big of a really big deal they are. And,
yes.
And you're on that chart, I just want to tell you.
Way down. So I've watched every one of your podcasts.
There's a plus side and a minus side. So I'll just leave it at that. But basically.
Well, I love what you're doing, Jeff, which is to recognize, the idea of the greater good. And also not all of us are able to write a big check. Or contribute in that way. And that is a wonderful way to contribute. So I am not diminishing that by any means at all. I wish I could do more of that. But there are also a lot of people who give back in other ways and contribute, whether they're tutoring at Perkins, or for me, it's helping with large animal rescue or what have you. But that's part of our overall community that's so important.
Yeah. Thank you. So, since 2013, what is the most exciting, the most fun project you've ever worked on?
Oh, I don't know if it was the most fun, but it was extremely powerful for me. My dad was in the Marine Corps, and once a Marine, always a Marine. Well, my sister had a friend in college whose father was killed in Vietnam. His plane was shot down. His body was never recovered. And 35 years later, they recovered his remains and brought him home.
Oh, wow.
And I contacted her and said, may I do a documentary on you and your family? And she said, sure, come on up. She was in Northern California. So I flew up there and spent a couple of days with her while she got prepared for the funeral and receiving and going to see the remains and what it was like she was 6 years old when she lost her dad.
Oh, my.
And how that family was treated. They were forced out of military housing when her father was gone. And her brother and her mom had to just pick up from there. So 35 years later, she's a mother herself with 2 boys. And the ceremony was at the Air Force Academy in Colorado Springs. So I flew there and I was allowed to be with the family during the funeral memorial service and then on the grounds of the burial with the 21 gun salute, presentation of the flag. And I think what was so amazing was that our military for 35 years never gave up on finding Major John Carroll.
Wow.
And there were times where the political climate was such where they couldn't go in to where they thought his remains might be. And then 7 or 8 years would go by and something would change. And then a team would go in and start searching. And so they are working all the time to bring home our POWs and our MIAs. And it was the family and John's mother in particular, it was closure for them.
Yeah.
It was a tremendous gift to them to be able to finally bury him and celebrate him and honor him in that way. So I would say that was a very, very powerful experience.
And then for them to have that captured on film to treasure for
and we called it a father's return. And they were very grateful for it. So
remarkable. You're the best. I mean, I can't say enough about how
back at you, Jeff. You are a visionary and a terrific leader, and I love working with you. I feel very blessed.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Well, it wouldn't work, and thank you for saying that, but it would not work. What my grandfather used to say, if you want to be successful in life, look around and find the best in everything that it is that you want to have accomplished, and then hire them. And then you just sit back and watch. And so with you and all the other team members, Gabby Amon and other people that have been so instrumental in getting our message out, none of this popularity, I'm not even sure that's the right word to use when we talk about human trafficking awareness, but it is definitely becoming well known within San Diego County for sure. Well, I want to thank you so much, Corrie, for spending time with us today with Sarah and I, in spite of, what a bad job Sarah did with our sign. We're going to have a attitude adjustment session after this, and maybe we'll go down to what's the name of that restaurant? Nicky Rotten's down the street here, and drink our sorrows. But I also want to thank our sponsors, the San Diego Harbor Police Foundation, for supporting this podcast, and encourage people that are watching to press the follow button and to ensure that they pass these podcasts around. Like Corrie says, they really are helpful in terms of getting our message out. And it's not about me. It's not about anything other than the good that people do in our community. And Corrie Vaus is one of the best. So thanks, Corrie.
Thank you, Jeff, so much. Take care.
You too. Bye.